you searching for fulfillment? Discover true happiness. Stay tuned to Shalom World.
I'm Cecil Anderson with Shalom World's program Beyond the Vision, a show that introduces faith-based movies, theater, and television series. I'm here today on the set of an exciting new television series called Chosen.
Excuse me.
I have something for you. For me.
Throw this down for a catch.
I don't have a quarrel with you, teacher. We've been doing this all night. Nothing. All right.
A series that is breaking new ground in many ways. I'll be chatting with several of the key figures responsible for putting this vibrant retelling of Christ's story on the screen. I'd like to welcome the director, Dallas Jenkins.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Of course.
Can you give us, in a nutshell, describe the series Chosen?
Well, The Chosen is a multi-season show based on the life of Christ and those he encountered. And so we take the stories of people like Simon Peter, Matthew the tax collector, Mary Magdalene, Nicodemus, and of course Jesus, and we take their stories that we know from the Gospels and we bring cultural, historical context to them. The Gospels, saw fit to tell, kind of the highlights of each of these stories, but through a lot of research, we're able to find more, not only historical facts, but also just the context of what those times were like. And so we can then build on some of these backstories so that we can build a show as opposed to a short movie. We can build a show that lasts for several seasons where we can really dig into these characters and see them, see life through their eyes.
And having that multi-series way of filming it, is that what drew you to the project? Or?
Yeah. So I've seen multiple Jesus movies. I don't think that there's anything new that can be done in the form of a movie. That's what excited me about it. I've been a lifelong believer my whole life. And so because I've seen that, seen these stories so many times, what I think excited me about the idea of doing this as a show is the opportunity to really dig in deeper and explore these characters in a way that hasn't been done before while not changing what's actually in Scripture.
Absolutely. So, seeing as you're a man of faith, how has this resonated personally with you?
Yeah, the more that I've dug into these stories, I realized, wow, even though I've been a Christian my whole life and I've been reading the Bible my whole life, there's never an end to how many new things you can learn. And so just for me personally, having a fresh, renewed look at each of these stories has revived my relationship with God. And then the viewers, of course, are telling us constantly, this has really refreshed my relationship with God, my Bible reading, and that matches what we're experiencing as we write and direct these.
What is the hardest element of being true to the gospel story?
Well, the hardest element isn't actually being true. That's, we've got the Bible as the foundation for this show. And so sticking to the stories is the easy part. Making sure that when we are adding cultural or historical context or any artistic imagination, making sure that we are plausible and that we're not contradicting anything that Scripture would have done or said, that is where it starts to get tricky. so far, it's proven to be successful in the fact that people, when they watch it, don't feel at all ever like we're trying to stray from what the Bible's doing. And we've made it very clear we're not Scripture. Scripture is Scripture. That doesn't need to be changed. That doesn't need to be added to. We're a show based on Scripture. It comes from a perspective that Scripture is true. But we are giving these historical characters some life that maybe hasn't been given to them in the past. And so that's the thing that's been exciting about it. But it also makes it a little bit challenging, as you want to make sure you get everything right as much as possible.
Absolutely. So, like, what aspects have you added to make it different from other biblical projects?
Well, so for example, you look at Simon Peter. Okay, so Simon Peter, we know a lot about his personality from the Gospels. He was a bit of a reckless guy, very passionate. At times he was the disciple that Jesus had the most good things to say about, and then there was a time when he referred to him as Satan. He was clearly an up and down guy. Gleaning from the Gospels and recognizing what a lot of brother combinations are like, we can make some plausible, reenactments and plausible portrayals of what their relationships may have been like. And so that's an example of where, again, we're staying within the boundaries of being authentic to Scripture, but also exploring a little bit of the humanity that may not have been explored in other projects.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed when I was watching the first 4 episodes. I've read the Bible several times, but it's amazing what things like Simon Peter having a wife that it kind of was lost on me until I watched it, and I was like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you hope the world will take away from this?
Well, we believe that if you see Jesus through the eyes of those who actually met him, you can be impacted in the same way that they were. And I think sometimes we believers can get stuck in a routine in our relationship with God, or in our reading of the Bible, or in the practices of our faith. And so a show like this, what we've found and what audiences have been saying to us is, it gives you a fresh perspective, and it gives you a bit of a battery charge. Like, you can kind of get revived in your relationship with God when you see things just from a different angle. It's not a different story, but it's a different angle, and you're seeing it through someone else's eyes. And as you just said, you're also thinking of things or realizing things you may not have remembered or you may not have noticed. And so that's one of the things we're trying to do, is give all these nuances about the relationship between the Romans and the Jews, about the relationships between these characters. What must have been like when Jesus called Matthew to join this team of disciples, when we know that the disciples would have hated tax collectors, would have never wanted to be seen with one or spend time with one. So those are all things we explore, and that's what we're hoping the audience gets out of it, is that they can see Jesus through those eyes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dallas, for spending this time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great.
The goodness and the kindness and the friendship and love that comes from these characters and these stories. Life is tough, and this character Lilith is able to go through that transformation of what real love can do to someone.
I'm here with Elizabeth Tabish, who plays Mary Magdalene. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about your character, Mary?
Yes, I actually got really lucky in that she's kind of 2 characters. The first episode, we're introduced to her as Lilith. And you don't really know who she is, but just that she has some either psychological issues, but definitely emotional issues, and some very intense spiritual issues. It becomes clear that she is demon-possessed. She just keeps waking up in alleys and drinks a lot, and she just does not know how to deal with her pain and her grief. And we go into her backstory a little bit. She had some sorrow in her childhood, and then growing up as a young woman, she had a trauma with the Roman guard. So we kind of run the gamut of really heavy emotions with Lilith. And so I don't know if you guys want to give away the ending of episode 1, but it's revealed, she meets Jesus, it's revealed that it's actually Mary Magdalene, and he calls her by her name. And I had no idea that was actually in the Bible, that she was demon-possessed, and that Jesus healed her of, he casts them out. I think the production did a really good job of exploring in this really beautiful moment.
So how's like this role compared to other roles that you've played before?
Hands down, it's a dream role. When I first got the auditions for it, I was like, please don't let this let me down, please. If I don't book this, I need to quit acting, which was funny because I was about to quit acting and I told my agent to stop submitting me. I was just kind of worn down with rejection, and it's a difficult career just because of that. And so he submitted me anyway, and I was excited once I got it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this, and if I don't get this, this is it. I'm gonna be done. And it just kind of has bowled me over of like how life-changing booking it has been, playing it has been, just like its effect in my life has just been incredible. Of like a whole world has opened up to me that I didn't even know existed or was available.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's kind of wild.
So how did you, I don't know, prepare for a role like this? Did you look into the Bible, or did you look at past people who played?
Yeah, I was actually a little hesitant to do too much research. So I just focused on the script, and I focused on what I could bring emotionally to certain moments. And even just using my own past or my own heartbreak or, things that I connected to in the script, I just used all of that. So it would be more immediate and more even emotional than intellectual, which is I think something actors always want to shy away from, of just like thinking too much about it.
Right, definitely. What has been like the biggest surprise playing Mary Magdalene?
Right now the biggest surprise that I'm going through is just like the audience reaction to it. People have been so vocal and expressive and excited about this role. But even as I'm going through it, I'm just thinking like, yeah, people will like this, cool, But like the reaction has just been phenomenal and really exciting. So that's been a nice surprise. And so I've kind of been surprised by my own reactions on set in scenes where it's like, this is something actually happening? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it is something transforming. Like, I'm surprised even by like where my reactions come from. And there is something to the script and the way it's written and all of these actors and the director, and just this project has something really special to it where like, it's not just a performance and it's not this thing that's removed as an art piece or even just as a strictly biblical piece. Like it's alive,
Yeah, definitely.
And it's been exciting to just be a part of it and kind of witness that.
That's beautiful. And what are you hoping the impact will be on society from this series?
From the series, I think I want everyone just to watch it because I think believers and non-believers will enjoy it. It's such good storytelling. And I think believers will enjoy it because they'll see these moments that lead up to really familiar parts of the Bible that are like, oh, that's when that happened. Mm-hmm. So there's like a joy in that. There's hope is not lost. And so I'm hoping that like, women and men that have gone through maybe some trauma or even PTSD, like can see that with real love, real love and faith, you can actually be transformed.
Wonderful. Has there been any one moment on set that you really you talk about it coming alive and stuff like that? Is there one moment you can think of where you're filming that it just was an extraordinary moment?
Yeah, and it was a really subtle little moment. The Shabbat dinner I had where I had some friends come over. Mary has some friends that come over. There's a knock on the door. Jesus comes in, and it's the first time she sees him since he has healed her. And he sits at her table, and it's a subtle thing that's really lovely. She asks him to start the blessing before Shabbat dinner, and he tells her, I want you to, this is your home. And there's this really lovely little moment of respect of Jesus toward a woman that it's her home, and like she gets to do the blessings. And it was just like, it was the most peaceful thing. And I hadn't been particularly religious in the last 15 years. And so it was like, oh, there's something to this. There's something to this prayer, to this blessing that's like kind of transforming like how I'm feeling. And it kind of opened my eyes to like, there's something really powerful in this, that it's not just, words. It's like really something special.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for taking this time.
Thanks
Talk
for
with
having
me.
me. Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
was fun. Thanks.
I'm here with Chad Gunderson, the producer of the Chosen series. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So can I ask how you got involved in this project?
So Dallas Jenkins, the creator of the show, and I have known each other for about 15 years. I would say we could argue that we kind of started our careers together over 15 years ago. I produced his first film, which is called Midnight Clear. We actually shot that here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It was starring Stephen Baldwin. And then ever since, I've kind of gone off and done other films and projects, and he's done some as well. And we've never been able to work together again over all those years. We've stayed in touch, talk about what's going on, tried to work together on other projects, and it just never worked out. But when The Chosen came along and he started developing it, obviously I knew he was doing it just through himself and the grapevine. And then the more we talked, we kind of realized maybe we should try this one. And it worked out. And then we ended up shooting here in Texas. We scouted a lot of different places, but we ended up here in Texas, so it made even more sense to me to be a part, kind of shooting in my own backyard here. So it was a long time coming, but here we are again.
Awesome. So how does the Chosen project stand out, being unique from other projects you've worked on?
Well, and Dallas talks about this a lot. There's been a lot of TV shows, movies, etc., on the life of Christ. And I would say probably at least 90% of those, they're pretty formatted, right? It's like, let's go read the scripture, let's quote all the scripture, and then only portray on screen what is in the scripture. But Dallas is very much a character guy. I mean, he loves personal stories. He loves the character arc that people go through, the personal journeys they go through. And so that's what sets it apart. This is told through the eyes of those that were chosen to be on the planet with Jesus. So there's a lot of backstory for the Simon Peters and the Andrews and the Mary Magdalens and all these different characters that Jesus came in contact with. Obviously, Jesus is still our title character, not title character, but main character. Still very biblically accurate and scripturally accurate, but we've created some backstories and different things for the characters themselves.
So what are some of the challenges you face day to day on set or into production?
Well, we've kind of hit both ends of the spectrum. So we shot the first 4 episodes back in October of 2018, last year. And it was oddly an extremely cold October for Texas. And so the first 4 was about the cold. I mean, it was 20s, 30s, 40s, a ton of rain. So we had a lot of mud to deal with. We had vehicles stuck. We lost a full day of shooting. We ended up shooting out on a lake as well because we shot a lot of Sea of Galilee scenes last go around. So it was freezing cold on a lake. So all those elements were that go around for the first 4. These last 4, the 5 through 8 that we're shooting now we're shooting in July and August in Texas.
Getting the other side.
Yeah, so now it's been quite toasty. But I will say, I think, God definitely was looking out for us because while we are in Texas in July and August, it's been abnormally cool. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of both ends of the spectrum on the weather side of things. But, we have an amazing crew, amazing cast, and I think many people have come to me and said, even within the elements, it's been an amazing experience, an amazing project, a great team to be around. And so I think that makes it all worth it when God can still make it pleasant in the heat.
Wonderful. And finally, for people when it is released, where can they go to watch it, and when is it going to be released?
So all 8 episodes will be released on VidAngel, and VidAngel's digital platform that you'll be able to see it. So vidangel.com is the best place for that. But that won't be out until around Thanksgiving or so. The exact date hasn't been released yet. But currently, thechosen.tv. So www.thechosen.tv is the place where you can go and watch the first episode for free. So we have released the first episode, and that kind of gets people hooked, and you can purchase them for downloads, the other 3 episodes. So you can get all 4 of the first episodes right now digitally, download them. You can also order DVDs. Blu-rays will be ready soon. So in the next couple of months, it will all be out there. But currently, thechosen.tv, Facebook, Instagram, all those basic things are out there as well to follow. We do a ton of behind-the-scenes footage and things that, again, which is, I think, what engages our audience. People get that kind of inside look. But I think the big thing is how are we going to roll that out? How are we going to tell it? What were those people's personal journeys to get to that point versus what's already there? We already know what happens. We already know the paralytic gets healed. We already know, his first miracle. We know those things, but how does it unfold? How do the characters react to that? That's kind of the big thing that I think is engaging the audience. And it's what's exciting for us as filmmakers too, is to be able to say, we get to do it in a way that's honoring to Scripture, which obviously is the most important thing, but then also creatively fulfilling, which I think gets suffocated a lot in a lot of faith-based stuff, because it's like, well, you got to go exactly just what the Scripture says and all those things. And we're doing both. We're honoring the Scripture and then obviously creating some characters that people can relate to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking this time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We've heard from so many people who've seen this show who've said, the Bible has come alive for me, and my life has changed because of the way the lives of these people were changed. We are not afraid to take you through some painful circumstances. This was an oppressive time. The people were in poverty. The Jewish people were oppressed by the Romans, and we showed the pain that these people felt.
I am in hell. It's getting worse.
I owe taxes. We all do.
Someone who's used media a lot in evangelization, so I believe in the importance of Catholic radio, Catholic TV, Catholics using the new media. Can I encourage everyone to watch Shalom TV? I think it's a great vehicle of evangelization. And God bless all of you.